So, hi and hello everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Think Homeschooling podcast. My name is Neil Gies, and today I'm really excited for this podcast and the conversation because we have Miss Aditi Girl with us here today. She's one of the people who has taken a giant leap into the domains of homeschooling by homeschooling her own daughter. And I think this is such a personal journey that invites a lot of challenges, a lot of questions, and a lot of backlash from the society. And also, I think this journey brings up a difference and brings up a lot of changes in many of the aspects of life, may it be the day-to-day life or your long-term family goals. So somewhere in this podcast, we'll understand the challenges that Ms. Aditi faced and the way she managed to overcome these. So without any further delay, let's get into the conversation. So hello, ma'am. We're really excited to have you over here today. And thanks a lot for being a part of this podcast. So if you could just introduce yourself to the viewers once and the life around you, I guess we could start off from there.
Hi everyone, my name is Aditi. I have done MBA from Lucknow and I have worked with HDFC Bank for 4 to 5 years. During the working of through corporate life, I had to take a break because I had a daughter who was very small and I wanted to bring her up in myself, so I had to take a break. And through the years, I have worked I've worked with different things, like I took up tuitions, or I worked as a self-employed. I worked in partnership at other organizations. And now I'm finding my own company, Select My School, where I guide parents about finding the right school for their child. Thank you.
Okay, so I think somewhere the last point that you just told, that you were building a company of your own and that guides parents to find the ideal school for themselves. So is that somewhere related to, somewhere you understanding that the traditional schooling system somewhere didn't suit your child, and that the reason why you're bringing up this organization that you just talked about?
Traditional schooling system was never a part of her schooling journey. She was with the Montessori schools from the very beginning, and then she studied in an IB school and then took up homeschooling. So no, it's not that I am against traditional schools or I think that mainstream schools are not good enough. I advocate for play schools, regular schools, mainstream schools, whatever the wish parents they are comfortable with teaching, enrolling their child with. What I personally believe is that yes, in the growing up years, Montessori schools and alternative schools, they built up a better foundation for the kids, and so yeah,
Okay.
that's the basis of finding.
Okay,
the
somewhere going to the start of this, I just heard you said Montessori schools. As far as I know, something that's related to Montessori, it's like preschool, right? Something that's
Yes,
related
it
to
is a preschool, yeah.
But I also think that Montessori is type of an ideology.
Yeah,
So was this the start of everything? Like,
yeah, that's
so
correct.
how did it
Yeah.
all start? Like, what's the first thing that came to your mind, or was it someone that you already knew was into homeschooling that you put your child through the whole thing, or where did you first hear about it?
No, I was looking for a preschool when she was 2.5 years of age, and I was looking. So this was back in 2010 when I was looking for a play school for her, and I came across with different play schools and pre-primary schools, and they were a new concept at that time. So I came across this school called Namashala in Bangalore. I found it very interesting, and that was when I came to know about Montessori school and homeschooling.
Okay, so Montessori schooling, I think it's type of an ideology, right?
Yeah, it's a system where the education is taught through playway and collaborative learning, child-centric learning, holistic learning.
Okay.
It's not only about pen and paper or board teaching or chalk and board teaching. It's about the getting in depth of how does a child learn. It's child centric. For example, say today a child wants to study maths and want to study numbers, and the child is as small as 3 and 3.5 years, still they have their interest, they know what they want to study today and what they want to work with. So Montessori is very material based. They have a lot of material in their environment, and the child decides what he wants to do today, what he wants to learn today. Obviously there is a schedule and there is a timetable, but it does not mean if a child is not interested in a particular thing to study in a particular day, then they can decide and the teacher guides the child through that day with that material, and that is how they learn about it.
Okay, so somewhere So Montessori schooling isn't the exact traditional preschools that you have. I think most of the people in India are pretty much confused with these two concepts because they randomly say out that my child is in Montessori, and when it's just preschool and it's not exactly Montessori. I think
Yeah,
Montessori
that is
ideology that
there.
needs to be followed.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I think people need to know that Montessori is an actual ideology and not just your random preschool.
Yeah, you need to do your research. You need to
Mhm.
know what actually a Montessori school is.
Okay.
And play schools, they are not bad, but they start teaching from the very beginning the alphabets and numbers. And when the child is as small as 2.5 or 3 or 3.5, they learn everything in Montessori, but they learn more than that, and they learn it in a different way. Say, for example, they have to teach what a square is, what a cube is. They won't draw it on the blackboard. They would either teach it through material, or they might they might teach it through drawing, or they might teach it through craft. For example, they bring up craft paper and pencil and scissors, and they'll show the uh, child what actually a square looks like, what a circle looks like, what then they'll show objects related with them. So it's not that it's directly you introduce something and you suppose that the child would let, okay, they pick up very fast at this age and they can learn very fast, but how do you introduce a certain concept to a small child so that it stays with them, they learn it forever, and it's not like they have okay understood it now and they don't know it later. Or say for example, language, they're taught through phonics. The alphabets initially they're taught through phonics. Say for example, a is a, ba. So, and when they're taught spellings, then the clubbing of spelling is taught, the clubbing of words and sounds is taught, because that is how what we say in Hindi as ucharan, that is how the language is supposed to be. We learn it through sounds. We don't learn it through the actual letter. We learn it through sounds. So if it is taught through sounds, it helps them learn in an easier and better.
Okay, somewhere it's the foundation of teaching being taught in a different way.
Not in a
that's
different
more
way,
natural.
in a way that is natural, in a way it
Exactly.
actually has been always, but
Okay.
we could not, we have drifted apart from that, and now we're coming back to a lot of those
Okay.
things.
So you have
that
put
is
your
what-
daughter into you have put PU with
Yeah,
your daughter
yeah,
into
yeah.
the Montessori first.
Yes.
So somewhere was it because you wanted that ideology in her life, like you wanted her to be taught in this certain way, or was it because someone suggested it to you the first time that you did it?
Yeah, it was through, I got to know through a family friend. They were sending their daughter also to that school, and it was a different school initially. It was in a different city. Then we moved to Bangalore later on. That is how we came to know about the school.
Okay.
And that was also a very good school. But that is, yeah, I came to know through a family friend. It was, yeah, that is how I came.
Okay, so in the Montessori ideology, you just said school, like Montessori school, and not just a preschool, right? So till what grade does it go on this Montessori? Like, is it for like fifth, sixth, or like up until 12th, 10th, and 12th grade?
It is, say, alternative schools. It's not just Montessori. There are few schools as compared to the mainstream schools, and some schools are till grade 8, some are till grade 10, and some are till grade 12 as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
but not many schools, but yeah, few schools are there which are till grade 12th and 10th. And actually, the reason is that you need an accreditation as you move for 10th and 12th. So, with the schools that have 10th and 12th with them, children prepare their studies and they give their exams either through NIS or through IGCSE board,
okay.
the international board.
So Montessori was the place where you first encountered the concepts of homeschooling, because
Yeah.
from what I hear, Montessori is something that you go and learn. But homeschooling is, I think, from the term itself, it says that you stay at home and learn.
Yeah.
So how was the journey from Montessori to, homeschooling?
Montessori was till grade 1, I was till grade 2. So for 7 years, she was Montessori trained, solid 7 years of alternative education. And after that, she joined an IB school, International Board School, IGCSE board. And there again, she was for 5 years. And I got to know about homeschooling when she was during her pre-prime years. But I was myself not like I also myself had that concept कि school तो भेज नहीं है, you know, कि school तो जाते हैं बच्चे, you have to send the kid to school, otherwise how the schooling is going to happen. So I was not very much myself aware of the concept and benefits that it brings. But slowly, as we moved from smaller grades to higher grades, I kept on researching and reading, and I was always in touch with parents who were homeschooling their kids, and I was part of the group. Uh, During those years when she was in grade 5, 6, 7, 8, she was into sports. She has taken up chess, and there were other interests that she has developed over the years, and she was academics. She was always very good at academics. It was not that she did not enjoy studies or she did not was not good at them. She scored in maths olympiad, and she came second in her school in maths olympiad, and even in chess she came second in state level women chess tournament in Karnataka. So she was a pretty good student academically as well. But then over the years, when she moved from grade 8 to 9, and then she realized that now I have to make a choice that whether I continue studying as through a traditional school, because we were at a location where we could not find an alternative school for her. And since she has studied in Ivy school, the movement back to an alternative school did not make a sense, did not make a proper purpose. It was not meeting her purpose. And she had taken a professional chess by that time. She was working for chess for say 4 to 5 hours a day. She was training with the chess masters, with grandmasters for a day of twice a week, and they were themselves federated players, and she had started participating in tournaments, in classic tournaments, in federated tournaments, and she was winning and increasing her rating. So that was a point when she had to decide whether what she has to now do further. So then we decided that let's move to homeschooling. You can continue your chess training, and you can continue your studies through NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling.
Okay, so from Montessori to IGSE to homeschooling.
Homeschooling, yeah.
So it was you have seen the Montessori method, the traditional method, as well as the homeschooling part.
Yes.
So why was the the IGCSE part?
Yes.
I don't think it's more common in India, right? The most common boards are CBSE and ICSE. The IGCSE is an international board, is it?
Yeah, IGCSE is an international board, and there are many schools. They're a bit expensive than CBSE and ICSE schools. And obviously, there are lots of CBSE and lots of ICSE and lots of state board schools. IB schools are not as much as them, but there are a lots of IB schools in major cities, in big cities.
Okay. So was the transition from IGSE to homeschooling your decision or the parents' decision, or was it her decision? Like she needs to focus on chess, so she needs to go to NIOS, or was it your decision to put her into NIOS?
No, it was her decision, definitely. We sat down with her, I sat down with her, and we discussed the pros and cons. We discussed that if you take a call, then obviously there are both the sides of a decision always, and both the sides of a coin. So what do you want to do? And she said that I want to give it a year, and we were like, yeah, that's fine. It does not matter if you want to give it a try. And she continued her studies and her tournaments, and she found that it is working out quite well for her.
I guess on a neutral part as a family, you guys realized somewhere that the homeschooling part was better than the traditional schooling part. So you shifted to the to this. But I guess with whole of this transition happening, I guess it wasn't easy for you from the societal side, right? Because I don't see many people doing homeschooling, and I feel there's a lot of stigma against it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you went through that experience where people used to blame you or whatever that is. So how was the transition experience? I mean, not as a from a family perspective, but as a societal perspective. Like how was the journey for you at that point?
Yeah, there was definitely a challenge. Like people were amazed why you're not sending her to school, and they think homeschooling as dropout kind of thing, that the kid is not going to school, he's not able to perform in studies, or they would my friends would call up and cousins would call up and they would ask, she's such a good student and she's good in extracurriculars, and well, you can think of some other way of finding a school, if not a very academic school, or not a very study oriented intensive school, then maybe find a way, but send her to school, don't make her sit at home, because obviously it's something which not everybody can understand, and there was a lot of stigma and challenge initially. There was a lot of I would not say that there was, but you have to answer definitely your friends, your close ones, and other your family, the the people you are with, all the. I mean, your close knit family. You're answerable to them if you take a decision for a child. They also have a say in a decision like this. Why you're not sending your child to school? So yeah, it was a challenge, and it was very difficult. It was tough for her. It was more tough for us because she had moved out of school, and when you move out of school, it's not an easy thing.
Okay, so somewhere I understand that it was difficult on you as a parent as well due to the stigma from the society.
Yeah.
But on an internal note, a sudden change of schedule, especially from her going to school on a daily basis, having a fixed schedule,
Yeah.
to transitioning to a place where it's completely unstructured.
Yeah.
She's at home 24/7 and she's there all the time. So how was that to deal with? Was it good? Was it bad? Like, because you don't have any time for yourself. Because I've seen my parent. I mean, when I used to have holidays, me and my mom used to fight on a daily basis, on an hourly basis to be more specific. So was it the same case for you?
Yes, obviously you get used to a certain schedule, and you have your own time, and you have designed your own life over the years, what you want to do with your time and all. And when the kid is at home 24/7, then obviously that attention transfers to the kid, and that a lot of time is involved. But then again, there is always plus and minus and pros and cons with everything, whatever you do. So since it was our mutual decision, and we knew that staying at home would make us more busy and more involved, so it was initially difficult, and there were days when I used to think that whether I'm doing the right thing or not, whether we took the right decision or not. But then yes,
It was the right decision.
it was the right decision. Yeah.
So, how was it for Pihu, to be honest? Like, was she enjoying the whole thing, having her mom watching over her 24/7? Or was it a good experience, nothing to do whatever
No,
you
it
want?
was not that if she's at home, I have to be at home 24/7. It was not like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I had my own stuff to do, and she could in class 9, kids are pretty mature. They know how to handle themselves. But
I
yes,
don't think so.
there were lots of things that she learned when she stayed at home, like doing her own chores and cleaning up and tidying, as small as things like tidying up your room, or running small errands to the market, or developing responsibility for the home. Like you get to know how actually a home runs when you are at home, and you become a part of the daily routine. You know how it's not that easy. Everything does not happen on its own. It has to be done, and so you start developing an interest and an eye for how the things work out inside the home. Before that, you're just busy with your life, with your friends, and it could have been otherwise also. If she was at home, then maybe she might have developed interest, like just playing video games or hanging out with friends, or but then yes, you have to do a constant monitoring when you are with your child at
To
home.
be
and
more
so
specific on this topic, I mean, for the question that I'm about to ask you, Pihu gave me a really good answer.
Yeah.
So, before just get on to that, I'll just ask you the same question. Because since in this day and age,
Yeah.
teenagers have a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Maybe
Yeah.
TV, movies, phones, tablets, whatever they are.
Yeah.
So how do you manage them? Because being in a normal schooling or traditional schooling system, whenever a child gets a bit of time, all the things that all the things that he is involved in are basically digital.
Yes.
Games, TV,
Yeah.
series, whatever they are.
Yes.
But having 24/7 all to yourself, I don't think it's easy to control your urge to be in that space, be in that digital space.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
was it the same problem with Pihu, or did she get it in control, or did she get used to it? How was that? Like,
Yes, obviously it happens. It happens with everyone, not only with kids or with younger kids or adults. This thing is with everyone. But if you uh, let it, let the child decide. Okay, if you want to waste it, or if you are having a certain time phase where you want to indulge in, say, digital space and different things, and you let the child be, then how long can a child continue doing that, if and that is I learned through my experience with other parents and through alternative system and through Montessori system, that if a child does not want to study, was not interested in studying on a particular day or for a week or for 10 days, then the teacher would leave the kid. Okay, if you don't want to study, if you don't want to study a particular subject or a particular topic for a while, then the teacher would not force them. Let it be. Let the child come, and let the child come to the environment. Let him realize that, okay, now that phase is over, and they themselves figure out. They start missing out on the important thing that they're doing. They find themselves develop interest for those things when they are in that environment, and when that phase goes, then they themselves move back to the environment. So the same happened with her also. Obviously there were phases when the lapse would happen, and she got interested in watching Netflix or Netflix series, and for hours or days that would go on. Or she would not take up her studies. I don't want to study. I don't want to fix on the schedule. I'm just not able to study or grasp the things. So she used to be on her own for a while and do different things, or hang out with her friends, or just not be as schedule oriented or be in that intense mode, and then just chill, and then she would come back.
yes, so because I mean, I heard a similar answer from Piho also when I interviewed her the last time.
Yeah.
It was something like, if you let a child alone to do whatever he wants, and let's assume he starts gaming, or let's assume he starts watching series. How long will he do it for?
Yeah.
Maybe a week, maybe a month.
Yeah.
But after somewhere he's tend to get bored of this stuff, and he will move on to the things that he's actually interested in. These are the things that have distracted him. In other terms, it's just giving him a dopamine dose, nothing much. But somewhere it's gonna be, he's gonna grow out of this and move on to things that he's more interested in,
Yes.
and that's when he starts discovering himself. I think that's a really, this is a really, it means, this point actually needs to be understood by many parents, because many of the people believing in cutting off the distractions at its root. I mean, that's a good thing, but somewhere it also promotes the bad behavior in the child himself.
Yes.
But if you just let him what he wants to do, he'll eventually grow out of it.
Yeah.
So
Discipline does not mean that you don't let the child do anything. Discipline means you set the stage open for the child. You let them see and explore on their own what bad stuff is, what good stuff is, how it turns out. If you lock the key before the child enters into a certain compartment, and if before they get to know about whether good, then they will at some point of time will find out what was it that I was not allowed to see. It is that is how it is. So if you open the gate yourself and they peep into it and they realize, oh, it's not a good thing, I don't want to go there, and they themselves will move the other way.
And also, I think during the conversation with Pihu, I think another good point really came up, that all people want a lot of freedom, but
Yeah.
once they get that freedom, they have no idea what to do with it. I think that's the majority of the problem that's the major problem that many teenagers face, because up until they enter their engineering or the degree stage, they are completely locked up. Complete discipline from the house, a lot of strictness from the parents. But once they enter into engineering, they find this whole new world where they have a whole lot of freedom, and that's where they don't know what the right thing is and what the wrong thing is. And I think this is the place where many of them tend to go in the wrong path. So I think if you just let them, understand that okay, these are the paths that if you just lay out the paths for them, and these are the things that they are out in the world, and if you let them make the decision for themselves, I think that's a better way of mending their behavior and mending them as a person. So I think that's something that you brought out in Pihu, initial days of homeschooling, right? So I think that's one thing that parents who are getting into homeschooling right now need to be aware of. That don't hold your child for everything that he does. Let him be free, and let him discover himself for a while. So I think that turned out really well for Pihu. Besides, you did mention that she also had some bit of interest in chess and boxing. So what was that all about?
Yeah, boxing, chess was always like she started when she was in grade 4, I believe. When she was in grade 3 or 4, then she started training for chess. And boxing, she in grade 9th, when she started her homeschooling, then she started playing, learning boxing.
Okay. And she was a professional in chess. I mean, she trained like a professional in chess.
Yes, of course. She played at state level and FIDE level tournaments. That's what professional chess is. When you play in tournaments, classic tournaments,
Okay.
and you are working towards your rating, and you are playing with federated players.
And also, that was a major reason for you to change from the traditional schooling to homeschooling, so that she could focus on this rather than studies, right? Because as far as I see, many of the parents in India don't have that mentality. Even if their child is really good in a certain sport, they don't care about that. They just feel that okay, this is just a distraction.
I would
and
not
they
say
cut it
that they
out.
don't care or they see it as a distraction. It's not easy. Sporting is expensive, first of all. If you want the career to be built in sports, then it is expensive. Hiring a coach who exclusively trains you, or being a part of an academy, say for cricket or tennis or badminton. If you want to train at a professional level, it is quite expensive. Or you have really very talented, you're like talented, or you're like very very hardworking. Then only because it is very tough. The competition is very tough in sports.
Okay.
Obviously, it is tough in academics and other terms, but there the parents believe ki coaching, if you do the coaching here and there, if you'll not get into a very good school, you might get into a less than a good school or a less than a good college. Maybe not IIT, maybe some other college, but you will at least do your engineering, and you'll eventually, they look for a safe path. It's not that they cut off they don't want their kids to do what they want to do, but it's not everybody has a choice to let their kid do what
They want to do.
There can be a lot of reasons for that.
Okay. No, because I think regarding this, Pete mentioned a really good point as to why it's better to focus on the things that that you want to do, because she somewhere understand that chess would be something of a value to her.
Yes.
So she'd rather focus on the things that bring value rather than the contemporary things. That's the education, whatever that is. So
Yes,
somewhere at that age or at that point of time, she did realize that okay, chess is something that's going to bring value to me. So that so that's the reason that I'll be focusing on this. And I think many people miss out on this experience just because of their parents. Even though some children do believe that they can get into,
It could be anything like arts, or it could be theater, or it could be dance, or it could be as simple as drawing murals. Or people are doing so many niche things nowadays that they could not do initially, but after they took up, we get to hear about so many startups that they were in their corporate for a while, say for 5 years, 7 years, and then they realize this is not for me, and I have a passion for something else, and they would start their own clothing brand, or they would start their own as simple as making home handwritten cards, or different stuff like that we get to know through digital profiles nowadays. So yeah.
So I think you need to, even though it's a risky bet, I think it's worth taking if your child is really interested in that.
Yes, of course. I mean, take a risk for your child. If you think that if he's asking you if he has come up to you and he specifically tells you that I want to do a certain thing and I'm not finding interest in studies or in doing this coaching or doing the stuff that you have asked me to do, but I'm finding my interest in some other thing, be it sports or anything else. Try and give it a try for a year or 2 or 3 years and have that space, have that. And many parents do it. It's not that parents are not doing, but yes, give it a try. That's what you're trying to say. That yes.
But yeah, I think the main reason also for people to get into NIO is because it was also a safer bet for her. She could focus on chess as well as focus on studies at the same time, even though not at a pace where the traditional schooling system goes, but at least up until to have certification to show that okay you are capable. I mean you are capable and you have studied so much up until now, and you can get into good colleges as well after this. So I think NIOS contributes in a way that also gives you a safer bet in academic wise also. So I think Pihu somewhere understood that okay this is something that is going to work out for me. And so was this motivation that she got was from you parents as a guiding figure back at that time, or was it something that was built through homeschooling itself? कि हाँ भाई focus करना है कि सब कुछ ये सब करना है, or was it or did you have in a hand motivation?
Focusing is one of the benefits of playing chess. You have to focus on a game for 1.5 hours, and you have to play it really quick, and you have to play really good moves to win the game. So focus is one of the benefits that we develop through learning chess, and reading has always been a part of her growing up. I always had an access to library card, and she regularly read books. In a week, she would in a day she would read 3 to 4 books when she was as young in grade 3 or 4, and when she moved to higher grades, she always have that interest in reading books, and not just fiction, non-fiction as well. So that has and we I was a part of the motivation in the sense we used to have a regular session, we used to have regular discussions. How much have you when she was studying through NIOS, then you have to set a schedule, you need to set a timetable, you have to break it down into months, weeks and days, and you have to set a timetable that by this time I have to cover this much, I have to study this much, otherwise I will not be able to prepare for the exams. So we used to have regular discussion, and I used to sit with her and check whether how much she has done, because obviously you cannot leave the whole thing to the kids. He's after all a kid, and he's also figuring out what to do and what not to do, and you need to find out if they are obviously they do their part, but you need to follow up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because homeschooling being completely unstructured, there is no certain way to go through it. So how did you figure out as a parent, like okay, this is the things that I need to do, and these are the boundaries that I need to set? How did you figure it out?
Whether the homeschooling was working out for us or not.
No. In the sense, like there's no fixed timetable. I mean, she has a bunch of stuff to learn, and at the end of all of it, she has an exam to give.
Yes.
So how do you manage all of this? Like, okay, she needs to study this, and this. Like the typical schedule. How did you figure that out?
Okay. So initially, it was not as we decided. You do there were days when you don't want to get up and follow the timetable, and you want to since after you have moved from schooling to unschooling and to homeschooling, it's not easy following a certain schedule. Suddenly you find that you have all the time in your life for yourself, and you can do whatever you want. And then although you want to utilize that time, but suddenly you're so free that you feel, what can I do with my time? Let's just sleep, or let's just chill, or let's just hang out. So it took a while to come on the right track. Then we developed a timetable and a schedule, and after some time, she developed a very strict routine for exercise. In the morning, she used to get up and do her exercise and yoga and meditation as well for an hour or so. and after that she would sit with her studies, and then with the chess. In the evening she would either go for a dance practice, or she would hang out with her friends, or just chill by herself. So that used to be her. Then in the weekends, she would plan something. She's going out with her friends to, say, a botanical garden, or just hanging out and chilling with friends, or watching a movie, or just having fun together. So all that was there.
Okay, so she eventually grew into the schedule. Like it wasn't a thing that you realized as soon as you got into homeschooling.
No, obviously it does not happen like that. You suddenly you cannot get into a schedule. It takes a while
Exactly.
to form a proper
Exactly.
routine and follow it, and realize that if I don't follow the routine, then I would lose all the time, and I would lose all the motivation as well. If a certain time is lost, then sometimes we realize that it comes as a setback. What to do? My so much of time is lost. Will I be able to cover up or not? So you slowly we realize that let's get back to the track and start studying and doing what you've decided.
Because I think people who are planning to get their children into homeschooling, I think that's the thing that I consider about the most. Ki, how do I manage all of the things at home? Because I don't know the structure, I don't know the things that need to be taught. Even though NIS has their own curriculum and all,
Yes.
but I think it's difficult for them to perceive that okay, these are the number of chapters that I need to complete, and how will I do it? So I think somewhere they need to realize that you eventually grow into the schedule, and it's not a fixed one that you come up with on the first day. So, and with respect to the problems that you faced, because was it easy to implement all of these with her, or did you have your own struggles? Because as a child, I think she would have rebelled against all of this at some point of time. So, how was that experience for you?
Yes, yeah, kids do struggle and kids do rebel with their parents when they are growing up, and they obviously find that these rules and discipline and what is all this, why am I being told to do certain stuff, and why I should do a particular thing in a particular way, and why cannot I just leave the things as I want to be, and why should I be responsible, and why should I have why should I be so good, and why cannot I do the stuff which other kids are doing, just chilling out and hanging out with friends and not studying or being so serious or being so focused. Why cannot I be like that? There are obviously many days where they'll have fights with their parents, and they'll have discussion, and they don't want to be in that. But then you obviously the same thing works. You let it be, and then or you sit with the child, or you just leave it for a while, or let's go out for let's take a break and let's go out somewhere, go to a family friend, go to cousins, and change the mood, and then come back, something like that.
Because a traditional child and a child who goes to a traditional school, I think he gets more opportunities to socialize with friends, make plans, have fun. But I think homeschool students are missing out on most of this part, because they don't go out on regular basis, and even if they plan to go out with friends, all of their friends are going to school. So who will they go out with? They have to stay at home. So aren't they missing out on these many of these essential experiences as a child? So how do they make up for it? How did you make up for it for them?
That's a small part of it, I would say. Yes, being with your people who are your own age and hanging out with them gives you a different experience of growing up and learning. And homeschooling develops you in other ways. You miss out on few things, but then you can make up for it in some other way. Like if you cannot hang out with your friends on a daily basis, or you cannot talk to them on a daily basis, then what she did was she formed her own group. She joined different clubs, like she joined boxing. There were lots of kids of her own age. She joined dance, where there were lots of kids of her own age. Or she joined different groups, homeschooler groups, or different clubs, where she could meet different people from different backgrounds, and exchange experiences about their life. Or she became a part of a travelers group, where they travel in the weekends. They travel to different locations. So but she became a part of different things which she realized she could not be a part of if she was doing regular schooling, because then she never got to know what's outside of school. Real life, she started to know about what real life is from that safety and comfort zone. She started realizing, and she started learning about herself, what I actually like, other than being just with friends, or other than being just going to school, or following school rules and everything. What I like, what rule do I want to follow, what do I want to do, what I don't want to do. That's the difference that she got to know when
Okay,
she
so
was
somewhere
schooling.
she started socializing in a more meaningful way.
Yeah.
You know, that somewhere taught her many things, many experiences, that got her many experiences. Because all that you get in traditional school is from class first to the 10th graders, socialize with the same friends in the same way, in the same atmosphere, with the same background. That's all you get.
Yeah.
But somewhere that the points that you just made, somewhere it made me realize that like if you are in the homeschooling, you get to socialize in many ways with many other
Yeah.
people with many other backgrounds, and I think that's a more wholesome experience that you get. But with all of these, also, was it easier to balance the academic part with all of this happening at the same time, or somewhere was it really difficult? Because in the traditional schooling system, there are teachers, there are parents that are always behind you, like do it, do it, do it. But being in this atmosphere, there is no authoritative figure except for you. So was it difficult for you to also have a soft side as well as a more commanding side? So how did you manage to balance that? Because you have to sympathize as a parent, but at the same time you have to be commanding as a teacher. So was it difficult to balance between this both, or was she understanding? Okay, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, she knew that she has to study. She took out time. It was not much. Obviously, the course is vast, but if you are studying on a regular basis, then say she was studying history, it was very vast, or she was studying psychology, it was a very vast subject. But then, if you're studying on a regular basis, then it does not feel as a burden, and you enjoy your study as well. So yeah, it was a balance. She could figure out the balance between her academics and her other stuff that she was doing. Yeah.
And also at this point of time, I'm pretty sure that many of your, you would have seen other children going to the traditional schooling system as well. So where do you think there was much of a progress? I mean, how do you see the progress, like between a person who's going into the traditional schooling system, the progress in him versus the progress that your child had? Because all the progress that a traditional school child will go through, as far as I know, is in the 5th grade or 6th grade, he would learn multiplication or division, and the next time it would be a much complicated subject. That's it. No emotional growth, no characteristic growth, as far as I can see. But was it the same with Pihu, or did you see many other type of developments in her?
If we compare, then kids from traditional schools, they like a friends, I would say, or my cousins' kids, or families or friends' kids. They got into different colleges, and they got into, so it was a regular way that happens. You finish your school and then you get into a college, and then after then you do your one more degree, you go for one more degree, and after that you decide whether what you want to do, and what you can do, and what are the options that you have. And other than that, she's just in grade 12 now, and she has not completed schooling yet, but she has already formed her company. She has made a chess academy. The name of Ponstam Academy, Ponstam Minded Masters, and she's working very hard for it. She's very serious about it. She has now, if we talk about the company, then she has built it from scratch, and she started it when she was in grade 11th, when she was and she said that I am learning chess, but now I want to develop it as a career also, and I don't want to be just a chess player. I want to share it. I want to develop this my chess skill in a way that I can explore my other other venues of myself. I like teaching, and I'm good at teaching kids, so I want to amalgamate these two things. So that is how Chess Academy, the idea of Chess Academy came about.
Okay, with respect to chess, I think chess has a skill.
Yeah.
Skill development is really necessary at this point of time. Because in the normal schooling, in the traditional schooling system, I think you don't focus on your skills up until you finish it. You finish the whole thing and come into engineering.
Yeah.
But NIO somewhere offers, I mean, homeschooling somewhere offers you the time and the resources to build up your skills.
Yes.
And I think, and in my previous interview with Pihu, she explained this in much detail about the company and the way she built it. And she also mentioned a really strong point that when she is looking for the employees, she won't be looking into the degrees or the qualifications that they have, but rather the skills that they possess.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important part of, at least at this time in society. I think skills are a really important part that they play.
Okay.
Right. And yeah, with coming back to the homeschooling part.
Yeah.
So with all of these things going on, I think societal pressure was still a thing.
Okay.
In the initial stage, you did say that it was a problem, but
Yeah.
did it somewhere reduce as you went into the journey, or was it still the same thing throughout the whole path?
No, it actually became the opposite. People start praising her, and people started praising us, and they realized what an exceptional thing she has done with herself. And they realized that if you give a child a chance to grow on its own and let them focus on their passion, on their interest, then they can bloom in ways that is beyond imagination. And they are now all very happy with the way she is. They are with the way she has framed her career, and still there will be people who will say that you should still send her to college, and why you did not send her to school. So that those questions will always be there. You cannot do anything about it. But then be happy with what you get.
So, what are the most striking benefits that you saw out of this journey? Like, okay, she had a tremendous character development or something like that.
I would say we had a lot of time. Time is one of the things that you get when you're homeschooling, and she developed lots of hobbies. Like she learned baking, and she started writing blogs. She made her own website, Homeschooling Diaries, and she did a digital marketing course, and she did the SEO and optimization of the website that she made, and she was very much, she got into the basics of yoga training, and she got trained with a yoga teacher, and she got trained in proper meditation thing and stuff. So she was finding her ways to know herself, and because she got the time to explore what she likes, and she could she had that support system of the home and the house and the family at that time, and or kids get to do this when they move to college, and that time if they try to know about themselves, then it might not end up in the right way, and they might come across things that are not good for them. So that was one of the main benefits that I thought, that she because obviously you want your kid to come out in the best way possible, and you want the best to do for your child. Every parent wants to do that. So if they have the time and the space and the resources to do it, when they want to come up in a certain space, then it works out good. The balance comes out good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is there any personal experience that you have at some point of time where you felt, okay, that's a really good thing that I did? So, is there any personal experience that you would like to share?
Yeah, lots of things. Say, for example, when you used to have family get-togethers, then she would bake a cake, or she would plan the whole meal, and which I think it was a very exceptional thing at that point. Other than that, she realized that whatever is happening, I want to be a part of it. I don't want to miss out, or I don't want to do it just to impress or just to show off. I want to contribute. And I wanted to do it as an experience. or she learned to travel on her own. She learned to travel alone. Say she would go to her grandma's house or some Masi's house or her or other cousin's house, and she would go and stay on her own. And she used to travel back and forth on her own, or for tournaments also, when we had to travel a lot to different cities. So you cannot travel in a car or in an AC all the while. You have to travel in a local commute, and you have to stay in small rooms. They're very well arranged, everything, but you have to stay out and you have to move out of your comfort zone. And that is when she was as young as in class 7th, 8th, 6th. That is the time when kids are so much pampered nowadays. But she knew that she is doing it for her chess, and she is, and so these things did not matter to her. That's one of the example.
Okay.
And then when she was, I don't know, when she was in class 7th or 8th, then somehow she thought that I want to. She said one day that I please bring barley and maize from outside, and we got like kgs and kgs of bought it from the market, jowar bajra that you say. We bought it, and then she soaked it overnight. In the morning, she said I want to give it to the cows. I want to feed the cows, the stray cows. And I said, okay, let's go. And then we would put them in big containers and go to the cows, find out stray cows, look for them and feed them, or the nearby Goshala. And so that Go Seva, what we say. And somehow she developed it on her own, and she did it for many months together. So that is one of the examples, yeah, which not many people do.
Well, okay. Up until now, we have spoken about the bright parts of the all of this journey, but now let's get some of the darker parts.
Yeah.
You know, some experiences or places where you felt that okay, I think this is messed up. I shouldn't have done this. Like legit, because I'm sure that throughout the journey there are ups and downs, and through these downs you would have felt something like this.
Yeah,
So some experiences or something that you felt was not right.
Okay, when say let's just say chess tournaments, for example, you cannot always win. Sports is a chess is a tough sport, and however much you prepare, you sometimes just not cannot gain points or cannot do well in a certain game. However much you have prepared, others have prepared, others are equally good. And with half a point, you can lose or you can win a game, and it's a very close, tough game when you're playing. It's a very when that happens, then she used to lose motivation, or she used to think that I cannot do well, or I want to give up. There were lots of phases or times when that used to happen. So then we got her busy in other things for a while, took her mind off from chess, got her busy into other activities, and slowly then her friends, she had her own chess group friends, and then they would call and they would get together, and they also had their own phases. So yeah, everyone knows that this happens in sports, and when you don't win or perform as much as you wanted in a game, then it's a setback, and then you chill out with other things and then come back. So it eventually happens.
Okay,
So
failure is
that's-
something that you need to learn. It's a
Yeah.
part of the journey, and there's nothing to be disappointed by that.
Yes, and I think through sports she learned it quite well. That this happens, and whatever happens, you have to move on and accept it and not lose heart or not get discouraged,
Okay.
and keep on working on it. If something is not turned out, other things will turn out. Don't lose your hope, don't lose your passion, and don't be discouraged.
This was something that's respective to her, but with respective to you, okay, something that made you feel, oh, I shouldn't have done this, something like that, a bad experience that you had as a parent. It was stressful for you, something like that. Some situation or something that lines up with, homeschooling.
Uh, in academics also, she did pretty well in an IS in grade 10th. And there were times when these are teenage years, and for no reason at all, they just rebel. They just find anything irritating, They just and it could be a very small thing, but then they just get they say why did you? And they would just shout or they would fight. And with moms, obviously they
Quite
it's
a lot more.
yeah, they fight. So those were days. Those are definitely stressful days, and those are days when you don't know what to do and how to figure out and what is the solution for this. But then you realize that you have been the same in your teenage, and it happens with everyone. So
Okay.
give it time.
And also with respect to you and your partner, that's Pihu's dad, I think there would be some conflicts between you guys also, because I think you would somewhere have different ideologies of how to structure her days or something like that. So was it a difficult thing to figure out, or eventually you guys end up at the same note? So was it somewhere of a clash over there?
Eric Auntie, what?
Somewhere like, okay, her dad wants to have a structure in a different way, while you need the structure in somewhere a different way. So somewhere did that bring clashes among this whole of this thing, or was it a peaceful note where you both agreed on the same thing at last?
More or less, no. In the choice of subjects, when she decided what subjects she wanted to study, there was some discussions whether you should take up these subjects or not. And I thought maybe if she takes up science or maths, she would have a safer bet when she moves to higher grades, and she would. But she was not interested. She said that if I have to study science, then I might as well go to school. Why stay at home and study science and maths?
Okay.
Yeah, so she took up other subjects, and it was. I thought she will at least take up some subjects, but she took up maths and she took up English and other 2-3 subjects, so it was fine.
Okay, so how are the cousins now who used to tell, oh, put her into a traditional schooling system, because now that she has built her own company and all, so how is their attitude towards you right now?
They are pretty happy. They are also very proud of her, and they say that you have done a very brave thing, taking this decision. And they pray. Whoever now meets her, they praise her and talk to her in a different way. And now she also talks in a different way, like the CEO of a company, and she enjoys her status, and she knows that. This was what comes when you do something on your own, and you learn a lot. You develop financial discipline. You develop, you know how to hire and talk to a trainer, and what you want to, what qualities do you want in a trainer, and how to structure your company, the legal aspect of it, registering your company, and making it a private limited.
So I think, is there something that you would like to convey? Because most of the parents are still not convinced that homeschooling is a better part. Is a better part of the education. So somewhere many people aren't convinced. So is there something that you would like to tell to convince them that this is better than your traditional systems? So is this, what are the things that you like to tell them?
I still would not say that homeschooling is better than traditional. Every system is good on its own.
Okay.
Just as traditional schooling is also good if you know how to make good out of it. If you are just studying to mug up things and stay first, or if you want to just going to school for exams or assessments, or you are just doing it because everyone does it, or because you have to do it as being a part of the society, find the reason why you're doing anything. If you want to want your child to be a part of a traditional school or a regular mainstream school, find your reason why you want to send them to a school. And even if you're sending to school and if they think that maybe science is not my calling, or maybe arts is not my calling, or maybe I want to do research, then be with them. Be a part of their interest and be a part of their choices. Help them figure out. Just don't do what everybody does, and you have to do because everybody is doing it. If your child is interested in a particular thing, be a part of their journey.
Okay.
That is what I would say.
And also, is there some tips that you would like to give to the upcoming parents who are already enrolled into homeschooling, so, to make their life a bit easy? So, is there any tips that you'd like to give them?
What I would say is it's, you need to develop a schedule. That is very important for homeschooling. You need to find out what you have to do and why you want to do it. And people think as this as a system that they are doing it because they are kind of dropout kind of thing. Most of the people think that they are not able to perform, so they are doing homeschooling. The kid is not homeschooling. So it's not that. There will be challenges and there will be questions, and there will be days when you will have to, when you will feel that you have taken a wrong decision. Maybe you might have sent your school to a child. So just stick with your decision and don't be discouraged, and decide what you want to do and why you have, so find your motivation why you first time decided to come into it. And be in contact with other homeschoolers as well, or unschoolers who are there are lots of people who are doing homeschooling in thousands parents are there who are doing homeschooling for their kids. So tip is that be on a schedule, and have as many activities, have lots of activities planned out. Don't let them get bored, or don't just leave them on their own, or be involved, make them join lots of activities so that they learn their interest, and they are able to develop themselves in the time that they get.
Okay. Well, I guess throughout this podcast, I think somewhere at the first I had this mindset that you would have a struggle story over here. But somewhere I understood that it wasn't exactly a struggle story, but a story with much more experiences. Because all these stories that I have heard up until now were from the parents that are from my kind of a background. Their parents, the children are studying in the traditional schooling system, and they have the problems that we all face. But somewhere talking to you, I realized that your experiences were way different than ours, and your struggles were, somewhat on a much different level. It was, I wouldn't say more difficult or much easier, but it was something as another complete different experience. So I guess the whole of the journey wasn't exactly a struggle for you, but more of a memorable journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I guess with that, I'm sure that parents who are watching this, or the students who are watching this, somewhere understand what a parent goes through and the challenges they face and the joy that they get out of it. So hopefully you will be getting into this journey soon, and all the best for your journey. And that's us signing off. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
It was great fun talking to you in so much detail about the whole stuff. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah.